Hello, hello. Welcome to one more live, LinkedIn Live, YouTube Live. So happy to have you here. My name is Juliana Rabi. I am a career coach for remote jobs. I'm especially happy about this live today for different reasons. The first reason is that I have a special guest, a talent acquisition and remote work specialist that's going to be with me sharing her expertise recruiting for remote positions in large companies with more than 5,000 people. So if you are a job seeker who wants to apply for a remote job in a big company, this is the live for you. I'm also happy because this is the first live of a series of lives that I'm going to bring different recruiters to share their expertise with you. So this is 100% designed for you who is looking forward to work remotely in different companies, different environments. And today specifically, we're going to talk about recruitment for remote jobs in large corporations, companies with more than 5,000 people. So you are very welcome. Let me just make sure that everything is working out fine. Can you, if you're watching live, can you please confirm on the chat that you can hear me, that you can see me, just to make sure that all the technical part is correct here. So please say hi in the chat. Let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me. My name is Juliana Rabi, and this live today is going to be about recruitment for remote positions in large corporations, companies with more than 5,000 employees. So just say hi in the chat so I can know that all the technical parts that I need to check here is working properly. So let me just check here. And if you help me saying hi in the chat. Donna said, can hear and see me. Thank you very much, Donna. Donna is connecting from YouTube. Amazing. If anyone is watching from LinkedIn, please say hi in the chat and then we can start. We have a lot prepared for today. My name is Juliana Rabi, and today we are going to be talking about recruitment for remote positions in big companies, in large corporations with more than 5,000 employees. So super relevant topic in case you're searching for remote jobs. Precious said hi on LinkedIn. Hello, Precious. Can you hear me? Can you see me well? So please let me know. Rafaela, hello. Welcome, everybody. Rafaela, amazing. Matthew. All right, it looks like everything is working out fine. So everyone is very welcome. And while I bring my guest today, I would love to know where are you connecting from, because I know I have a very international audience, people from different countries, different nationalities. So I'm curious to know where are you connecting from today. So if you want to share your city and the state, the country that you're connecting from, it's going to be interesting to see it here. All right. And I'm going to bring, while you share in the chat where are you connecting from, I'm going to bring Gabriela De Luca on stage, and she's my special guest today to talk about recruitment in large corporations. So Gabriela, welcome to this live.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Can you hear me well?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, look, someone is asking if we are Brazilian, like the person who wrote, like Rafaela. Yes, Rafaela. So we are both Brazilians, right? Gabriela and myself. I am at the moment in Barcelona, in Spain. Gabriela is based in Canada, right? You live there, Gabriela.
Yes, I'm speaking from Ottawa in Canada.
Nice, amazing, amazing. So the topic of this live today is recruitment for remote positions in large corporations with more than 5,000 people. We have a lot to cover here, so please use the chat for questions that you have, comments. If you want to share your experience, maybe you are working remotely in a large corporation, so you can add your experience here. Maybe you want to do that, so you can also ask questions or the struggles that you're facing and all of that. I will be checking the chat from time to time to make sure that we also answer the questions that come our way. Okay, so to start with, Gabriela, can you quickly introduce yourself and share with us how did you ended up working in recruitment? How did you start this career?
Of course. So, hello everyone. I'm Gabi from Brazil. Hello to all Brazilian fellows that I can see are commenting. I don't know how to comment in this chat, but I'm from Brazil as well, living abroad. And I see that one of my coworkers also said hello. So hello, Madhavi. Anyways, yes, I'm Gabby. I have a bachelor's in business, and I worked in consulting companies at the beginning of my career until around 2010. And that's when I had a little career crisis and didn't know what to do, and decided to do a master's to have some time to think. In Brazil, by the way, master's, PhDs, you can get for free still with the public education we still have. So I ended up doing two masters, one focused on business for careers, different careers. My thesis was about tattoo artists. And I did another master's in philosophy of history to understand how people understand and tell their own life stories. Those two things together got me very interested in HR and how people get their jobs and fall in love about their jobs. In the meantime, I had to make some money. So I started a business. It was a research and consulting business. And I ended up working with a company called Round Bags. At the time, 2017, actually they started 2016 in Brazil. They were remote, and they were struggling to convince people to work for them because people wouldn't trust a remote company in 2016 in Brazil. So they hired me to help understand the remote work culture and how they could advertise that in a better way to candidates. So I did the work, and in the end of the research, they offered me a full-time job. I fell in love with remote work by then, so I took the job. And that's how I started with recruitment in tech in remote companies. So since 2017. That was a startup. I had a lot of opportunities to learn, do it all there. And then a few years later, I moved to bigger companies. So I worked at Shopify here in Ottawa, and now I work at MongoDB, both companies with more than 5,000 employees. And here I am. I also create content on LinkedIn. I know it's getting long, but just to say, I create a lot of content on LinkedIn, just like Juliana. Feel free to follow me, connect with me. I really like to help job seekers and try to give as much as I can for free, but also, of course, paid service. So yeah, but that's me.
That was amazing. I really like your content, Gabby, because you keep things real, right? As we spoke previously, there is a lot of confusing information, fluffy information about recruitment, about remote jobs. So some people want to look cool, and then they share information that they think that's going to be well accepted or that's going to make them look amazing, but it's not real. So you have a background in recruitment. I also have that. So we both like to keep things real, down to earth. And I think it's very valuable, the content that you share. Deleting some of the mistakes, some of the misconceptions, some of the myths related to recruitment, and keeping things real. Because at the end of the day, we need to know what really works, what is effective for job seekers, and not content that is just beautiful or nice to read. It's better to keep things real. I have the same approach that you have about it. So yeah, nice. So for the ones who doesn't follow Gabby, make sure you do this. You can go to the event, you can click on her name and start following, connecting with her on LinkedIn. And as I said, use the chat to share your questions, your comments, because we are going to be checking that from time to time and answering the questions as much as possible. Okay. In the meantime, I have a few questions for you, Gabby, because obviously I'm super excited to have you here, and I also want to learn from you. So my first question to you is, how do you experience the recruitment process for office positions, for people working in the office, and recruitment for remote positions? So in a general overview, what are the main differences between recruiting someone to work in a traditional office job and recruiting someone to work in a remote position? Main differences, please.
Honestly, I think, and just because somebody asked for my name is Gabriela De Luca, but I just say Gabi De Luca because it's easier. But you can find Gabriela as well if you.
I'm gonna share the
about
link to your profile in the chat, so they can
Okay,
also click
Um,
there. Yeah.
but yeah, honestly, the main difference is just being on site. you will still have, as a candidate, you still have to match the requirements. And that's the biggest secret about getting an interview and getting a job, is matching the requirements. For on-site, you will probably have to be in the location already or be open to relocate. So I would say that's the main difference. Remote workers don't need to do that. Thinking about interviewing process. So during the interview, what's the difference? Nowadays, even for on-site jobs, sometimes they do the full interviewing process online. But it's still, when it's on site, you will probably have on-site interviews. So that's why it's better if you're already in the location of the office, even though companies, especially bigger companies, will offer accommodation so you can travel and do the interviews on site. That's the difference. Thinking about steps, how to prepare, who you're going to talk to, it's basically the same. I don't know if that's the answer you wanted to hear, but maybe we can think about things we can do to better prepare for remote interviews. But in a nutshell, it's basically the same, to be honest, especially now after COVID and everybody's experimenting remote work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, and I think it has to do with the next question that I also thought, which is like, what remote companies tend to value more in candidates when they are interviewed? Because as you said, the interview process is not that different, right? More than the physical thing, that if it is for a remote position, you probably won't be interviewed in person. But when it comes to the interview process specifically, Gabby, do you notice difference between what remote companies are looking for regarding skills, regarding experience, regarding behavior, comparing that to what office companies are looking for?
Yeah, and that's connected with Precious' question too. Again, big secret, match the requirements. So it doesn't matter if it's remote or on site. If it needs 3 years of experience developing .NET software, that's a hard requirement that you have to match no matter what.
Yeah.
Thinking about remote workers and remote teams, honestly, what I thought that's the not only, but like biggest difference is the communication skills, written communication skills. Because, when you work remotely, you have to be able to communicate clearly and fast through Slack or Teams or email. People work asynchronous. So you have to be able to communicate properly when you're writing. And I would say that's the biggest difference, or the skill that you have to improve if you want to work remote. Thinking about ways to show that in an interview process, which is like, it can be tricky because, you're doing interviews, you're communicating with your voice. I think there are some details that show that the person has experience. One of them is showing up on time for interviews.
So
being
important.
delayed Exactly. Being delayed like 5 minutes, it's a very on-site practice. It's very normal to be 5 minutes late for a meeting when you are in an office. Because, you're walking to the office, to the room, you end up talking to someone, grabbing a cup of coffee, you're a few minutes late, and that's totally fine. When you work remote and you have experience with that, you know that 1 minute late in a Zoom room by yourself feels like eternity. So those are like little details in the interview process that and even, of course, people are late, that's normal. So if you join the interview later, you can apologize, and acknowledge that how strange it is to be by yourself in a Zoom call waiting for someone. So that shows remote work experience, in my opinion, in my experience. Yeah, so I think that's the main difference.
Yeah, and all the details count, right? Because when you think, Gabby, you're competing with other people, so showing up late, 1 minute late, can already make a difference between you and the other candidate. If the perception about both candidates were very similar, the recruiter might think like, okay, this one showed up late, so I'm going to stick to the other one who has a similar experience, performed well in the interview, but I trust more the one who showed up late. So it can be this small thing that will make all the difference, right?
Yeah, I think it would be very rare to make a decision based on like one person being late, but for sure it adds
It's one more thing.
information.
It adds.
Yeah,
That's the
it
thing.
adds information, you know.
Yeah.
But it's still yeah, it's a lot of um there are a lot of aspects that you have to consider. But for sure, if the person is late, and that happens, it's okay to be late. But the person acknowledges, apologizes for it, and moves on,
Yeah.
totally fine.
Yeah.
Other things that also, they're not necessarily reasons to reject someone, but show experience in remote work, or for instance, a good, I won't say like internet connection, because that can, sometimes you can't control, but headset, a good microphone, maybe good lighting, all those things show that you are used to have, for instance, Team
Background,
meetings,
not a messy
background.
room with clothes on the bed and all of that. Like take care of the background. Your appearance also. So everything adds, right? All those small details, they will adding value, increase your perception as a good candidate to work remotely, or decrease your perception as someone that is trustable to work remotely, right?
Yeah, again, I just don't want to connect these things with like trust, because I totally understand that some people, like, I don't know, depending on the situation you're at, you have to have an interview in a messy place, and that's okay too. And that's what I want people to understand. Like, there are no, like, how can I say, strict rules that you have to show up in a certain way and have a certain type of office and a certain type of computer. No, the most important thing is to match the requirements for the job. Those things that we are talking about, they help, and they show experience, maybe they show some preparation, but if the recruitment team is strong and the company is serious, what you're looking for is whatever is in the job description. That's like what I try to talk to candidates and help them apply to the jobs that match their experience.
Yeah. So the classic, I'm applying for this job because it's a remote job and I want to work remotely, it's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
So more than wanting to work remotely, you do need to meet the requirements for the job. So the job description is our main guide, is our main reference. You need to meet, I like to say like 78% of the requirements. It's a good rate for you to meet. It doesn't need to be 100% of the requirements that you totally meet, but I would say 78% you need to meet that. So you don't waste your time, you don't waste the recruiter's time, and you're increasing a lot the chances that you move ahead in the process, that you land the job and all of that. Yeah. You kind of said that already, Gabby, but how do you stand out? Not you, how a candidate, a job seeker, right, stand out during the recruitment process? What are the things? You mentioned a few of them, right? You mentioned showing up on time. You mentioned meeting the job description requirement. You mentioned the communication skills that are important. What else can you highlight as ways to stand out during the recruitment process for remote jobs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll always say match the requirements is the best way to stand out. But sometimes, even when the person doesn't match requirements, we are able to pivot or find other opportunities within the company or within our network, right? So what I would say is try to treat, especially the recruiter or whoever is the person who is helping you throughout the process. Take them as your partner, like a business partner for the recruiting process. Share information with them. Sometimes, I don't know, candidates don't want to share information, like if they're interviewing with others or if they saw another job posting in the same company that are more interested in. Share this information with the recruiter. They are your partner and they can help you find the best place for the job you're interviewing or for another job. And I think some candidates that maybe didn't match the requirements for the role they were interviewing, we ended up finding other teams because we worked together as a team, candidate and recruiter. So I would say that's a way to stand out, but more importantly, to find a job even for with another team that you didn't apply for at the beginning of the process.
Yeah. And I think big corporations, they have this possibility, right? Because there are different departments, different areas, different projects. So you might, as a job seeker, you might apply for one position. You create a good connection with the recruiter. You interview well. You open up about the kind of projects you're looking for, what you want to do in your career. And then if you don't meet the requirements for that position, the recruiter might put you in contact with another recruiter, recruit you for a different position. So there are so many opportunities when it comes to big corporations. So yeah, this connection with the recruiter makes all the difference, because a no today can be a yes tomorrow, or in 5 days, or in a couple of weeks, right? New positions can happen. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've reconnected with candidates years later too. Like, and I'm not saying like you have to wait 2 years, but like it can happen. You know, building that relationship and trust with the recruitment team is great. And even for agency recruiters as well, because agency recruiters have different positions with different clients and have big
Yes.
networks. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And regarding the mistakes, Gabby, that you saw candidates doing during the recruitment process, the ones you interviewed, the ones you screened the resume, the ones that you didn't interview because you identified a mistake early in the process. So can you share, like from a very open perspective, mistakes, the most common mistakes that you have seen job seekers doing when applying for remote jobs? So everyone who is watching this live will at least not make those mistakes. They can make other mistakes, but they will learn from what not to do. Some of the mistakes they should avoid from now on.
Um, I Yeah, it depends, right? But I would say when we think about remote positions, I think one of the main mistakes is not pay attention to location or time zone. You know, I think many times candidates see a remote position and think it's from anywhere. I can work from anywhere. And remote work and working from anywhere are different things. Especially with bigger companies, there are hiring full-time employees. You know, when you have, and we can talk about that, like why that happens. But basically, like if I have a job posting saying remote work in Canada, if you are in the US, I can't hire you, even though it's a remote position. And I think that's the main misunderstanding with candidates. And many times candidates will be rejected right away, like when they apply, because of location. So I reviewed your resume. We reviewed your resume manually, but you were rejected right away because of the location, even though it's remote work. I think that's the main
The
misunderstanding.
main one. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
I
would
know
say
this
so.
is sad and frustrating, and sometimes candidates are like, oh, I'm going to give it a
Yeah.
try, right? The job said
And
Canada, but then what if, I apply, I'm not based in Canada, it might work. Well, as Gabby saying, this is a mistake. So we like it or not. I don't know if it's fair or not, but it is the way it is. So companies have, due to several reasons, restrictions to hire people. So sometimes it's not possible to hire you from some specific country. So not say I like it, but I'm saying this is the way it is. So to save your time, to use your time in a better way during the job search, make sure you going back to the job description, right? You read the job description clearly and you check if there is any location restriction. Another thing that happened with a client of mine is that he applied for a job and there was no restriction written. But once he moved forward in the process, they said, oh, you need to be based in this country. That's another thing. Then the job
yeah,
description was missing this key information. But in case the job description clearly said you must be located in country X, or you are located there, or you shouldn't apply, right? That's the mistake you are
exactly.
mentioning. Yeah.
Yeah, and at this, if in on the one hand, I try to help job seekers, you know, to better write resumes and all that stuff. On the other hand, I try to help companies with these type of things too, because like some companies and some teams won't make it clear in the job description, and I know how frustrating it is. It is for the candidate and for the team. So
Yeah,
that's unfortunate, but yeah, I'm glad
it's
they
true.
clarified, at the beginning
Yeah,
of the process at least, because
yeah.
yeah, there are legal restrictions, taxes involved that we just can't hire. It's
It
tough,
is what
but
it is. Yeah,
it is
it
what
is
it
what.
is.
Yeah, Gabby, we have a question from Felipe, which is a good question. So, how important is applying to a job as soon as a new job post has been published? So, the timing that you apply, does it make any difference, or can I apply for the job that was posted a month ago? So,
Yeah, and by the way, hi Felipe. Uh Felipe, I'm gonna do like a advertising here, but Felipe created a pretty cool plugin for people looking for remote work, that shows like which companies hire people from other countries. And I think it's focused on Brazil right now. I don't have full context. Feel free to connect with him. Sorry,
maybe you
Felipe,
can
I'm telling people to connect
share
with
on the
you.
chat. Yes, share on the chat, Philippe. Share the link so we can check it out. Please go ahead and
Yeah,
share
for
the
sure.
chat.
It's
It's
a
gonna be
great
nice.
plugin.
Nice.
But anyways, it's a great question. It depends. In general, I will say it is important to apply as soon as possible, because most companies go in a way of like first come first serve, and will just like move on candidates and maybe hire someone before they even go through all applicants. So that happens, in the industry. Some companies will have something like the application window, and then close that window and then start reviewing and considering candidates. Usually, companies that do that will have in the job description something like this post will be open until September 30th,
Be
6 p.m.
specific.
Eastern Time.
Yeah.
So these are usually companies who do the window and then consider everyone. But most companies are first come, first serve. So if you see a job posting, apply, and copy and paste the job description in your own drive, because they will probably take down even before hiring, because they're getting a lot of applicants. With the market like it is right now, we are getting a lot of applicants. So sometimes you need to take it down because you just have too many to review.
And you can still
Yeah.
read later that job description to prepare for the interview when the recruiter call you. That's the thing, right? Again, the job description is important, so make sure you copy and paste that text in case the job description disappears, is not available anymore. You have that information with you. So yeah, the timing is important. One more question from Regina, and then I'll go back to my questions because I also have some questions for you, Gabi. So Regina is asking, what is your recommendation for experience with going through a career change while you still pursue remote work? So two things at the same time, right?
Yeah.
You want to land a remote job, and on the top of that, you also want to change careers. So any comments about it, Gabi?
So think about remote in this case, but I think in general, think about remote work as just like a work model. So you can take that, like you can apply for remote work positions or on site wherever you're at, if you're open to that. So I think the biggest focus you need to take here is how you deal with the career change, no matter if it's remote or on site, and that's a way that you can actually, no, I'm thinking this now, but yes, focus more on that. Like, how can you show the transferable skills or experiences you had to make that change? And if you have remote work experience, you can add that somehow in your resume and your interviews, and maybe that will give you some advantage against other candidates. It's just like this is advice that I used to give 5 years ago, when remote work wasn't this common. It's just now, like having remote work experience is something that all of us have, right? With COVID in tech, especially. Uh, so it's more about focusing on the other skills that you have.
Okay.
Did I answer the question? What do you think?
Regina, let
Yeah.
us know.
Okay.
Did she answer the
Yeah.
question? Say something in the chat, Regina, and then we might be able to go back to it. Gabi, I'm wondering if I was a job seeker at the moment and I would like to apply for a large corporation, right? A company with more than 5,000 employees, I would be asking myself, what is the difference between uh, the recruitment process in a big company and the recruitment process, for example, in a startup or in a family company or in a smaller company, right? So regarding, I don't know, the steps in the process, the stages, what is expected from the candidate, the timing that it takes, are
Yeah.
they longer process, shorter process? So what can you say, because you also worked in a smaller company, so what are the
Yeah.
main differences that you identify regarding uh, going through the recruitment process for remote positions in a large company?
Yeah, so definitely time. The timeline is different. Startups or smaller companies like less than 50 employees have a very shorter recruitment process. Even usually it can be even 1 week, 1 day sometimes, you know. Um, if you're thinking about a career change or companies that are open to more locations and you are open to a contractor role being paid as a company, going to smaller companies tend to be a good strategy because of these things. They're more open. The process are shorter, so you know the decision quick and you can move on to the next process if you have to. Bigger companies have many more layers
Steps.
to be compliant, to be fair, to be equal. So we need to go through many more steps. In general, you will have three main steps. You have the recruiting call, the beginning with the HR to confirm some basic informations needed, like location, basic requirements, visa, if you need visa or not, and if we have, and if we can support you with your visa, and so on. Really basic information, salary expectations, for instance. Then you have the middle of the process, that's the interviewing process, and that can vary a lot from 1 to 10 interviews. Companies like really like FANG companies have really long processes. And then you have the end of the process, usually after offer, that you have the background check and onboarding. So that would be the basic that happens in startups and big companies, but startups can happen in 1 week. Bigger companies will have happen in at least 2 weeks. It can take up to 3 or 4 months in some cases.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say you have to dedicate much more time and energy with bigger companies. You have some advantage if you get an employment with them for sure, but you have to invest a lot of time. I
That's
would
why I
say
like
that's
to
the
say
main
that,
thing.
yeah, we should be intentional choosing the companies we want to apply for, right? Because you might
Mm-hmm.
be enrolled in a 3 weeks, 4 weeks, even more uh, weeks just for one company that you're applying for. So instead of just do it randomly, it's better to choose in a in a clear way, in an intentional way. Like, I want to work for that corporation, because you might need to dedicate 1 month or even more of your life to go through the process. So don't just apply randomly to 20 companies. It's better apply to less companies and know that it's going to require your time and your energy to go through all these steps, right? Do you see the
Yeah,
same way?
that's my mindset too, and that's the strategy I recommend. I'm more like on the qualitative way
Then
than
quantitative.
quantitative. Yeah.
Yeah. Choose
So it's
better
getting the job.
instead of
Yeah,
applying for 20 companies, right? Be more
yeah,
targeted. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Regina said that it was a good answer when you said about the career change and landing a remote job at the same time. She said
Awesome.
she will make a follow-up separately with the specifics. Okay. Okay. Gab, you mentioned the background check, right, as one of the final steps when it comes to large corporations recruiting people. So there is the initial pre-screening interview with the recruiter. Then you have different steps, interviews, assessment that might vary from company to company. But in general, when it comes to large corporations, you will have the background check. So can you tell a bit more? What is it, how it works, and if people should be worried about it, or if it's just like a normal thing to happen? Because some people might have never gone through a background check. So what is that in the
I
summarized
know,
way?
and it can be intimidating, right? Background check.
Yeah,
Like,
like, oh, what is
yeah,
that? You're gonna check me everything, like police situation. So what is that actually?
depending on the role, yes, we're gonna even check criminal records. But it can vary. It can vary on the company and on the job. Like usually jobs that are connected to finance or security, you will have like a more in-depth that background check. Um, but in general, background checks are just to confirm that you are who you said you were during the interview process. So basically, and that's why it's important to keep the information correct in your resume, because we will use the information in the resume to confirm that everything you said there, or at least like 5 years back, are correct. So yeah, I would recommend not adding information that you can't prove later that's true.
Or
But it
lying.
varies.
Or lying, right?
Yeah,
If
I
you
don't want
lie
to
on
say
the
lies, but
resume,
yes, yeah, exactly.
yeah. I
Especially
posted, I
bigger
think it was,
companies.
yeah, I think yesterday I posted on LinkedIn. What was the name of my post? Something like, do you need to lie to land a remote job? And then full disclosure, my strong opinion is that you shouldn't lie to land a remote job for different
Oh
reasons.
my
And one of
God,
the reasons is
no.
that, yeah, some people do, and I know that some people get along with that, but you can even be fired once you are hired for the job if the company figured it out that you lied. So I don't recommend lying, and the background check is one of the reasons why, right? You might go into the last step of the process, but then you lied in something in your resume, your LinkedIn profile, in your interview, and you can, even if you were initially selected, be out of the process because you lied in some stage. So definitely don't go this way. It's not recommended.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
no,
no way, no way. We're
no.
not
It
talking
it
for lying.
destroys. Yeah, it destroys trust, And one thing that I also question is like, if you're lying, and the company doesn't, or like doesn't discover, or maybe even knows, and kind of like, what's the type of company that you're also joining? So it's just, yeah, I don't recommend at all.
Me neither. Me neither. Just to make it clear. Yeah. I
Yeah.
have another question that I talk about very often with my career coaching clients, and some of them have never heard about it, and they feel like kind of surprised, and some of them can benefit a lot from it. So let me just share it here on the screen so everybody can see that. And if you are live with us, please use the chat to share your questions, your comments. We are going towards the end of the live, but we still have a few minutes. So just, yeah, to share your questions, your comments here. Let me see if I can bring what I want to bring to the screen. Let me see. Just a second. That is the technical part doesn't help, right?
Another
Okay.
classic of remote work. Can you hear me well? Share
Yes, yeah,
full screen.
yeah. Okay, yeah. For some reason, it's not showing the banner, so I'm gonna just say it while I try to fix it. The question is about referral. Oh, now that's it. Referral programs in large corporations. So, what is it? What is a referral program? How it works, and how a job seeker can benefit from it. So, starting from what is it? Because some people might not know what we're talking about. So, what is a referral program, Gabby?
Yeah, so basically, it's a way that employees can refer people they know for certain jobs. And usually, referral programs are connected to bonus or a type of rewards that employees get when their referral is hired. So it's great both ways for everyone, to be honest. For the employee who maybe get a bonus and someone they know in the company, for the candidate because they will get more visibility. Will you know they get more visibility, and for the recruitment team, that also it's I don't want to say it's better, but it's easier to trust someone who was referred by an employee that we already have trust with. So these are referral programs, very common, no matter the size of the company. Usually, even startups rely even more on referrals because they don't have a recruitment structure yet. So the easiest way is just like, my friends can work here, let's hire them. Mm-hmm. There are different ways. Two main types of programs that I've seen that we call warm referral or cold referral. The most common is warm referral, that like the employee needs to know the person and explain why they think they are a good fit. But with the market how it is, and with so many candidates contacting employees and asking for referrals, a few companies created cold referral programs, which is when an employee refers someone that they can't really speak for them or say that they are a good professional, but they still want to refer that person. And the cold referral programs are becoming more common. So, but yes, it can be a step ahead, if you're able to get a referral. But regardless, you will need a resume and you will need
to meet the requirements and go through the process and pass the interview. Yeah, I like to think about.
I always say.
I think about it as a shortcut. So you might be in front of the recruiter first. The recruiter might check your resume first, but still you need to meet the requirements. You need to perform well in the interview. You need to, if there is an assessment test, you need to get through it. So it's not a guaranteed thing, but it is a shortcut. You go in front of the recruiter first. Before we go to one more question, I want to share one thing here on the screen. So let me just see if I can share it. Okay, I can do that. So let me remove the banner. If you're watching live, you can grab your phone and just scan this code. This is an invitation for a free event that I'm organizing next week on the 28th of September. So next Thursday, okay? This event is going to be about remote jobs. So if you're watching this live, I'm assuming that you're interested in remote jobs. And this live event, I'm going to be hosting alone next week. Gabby won't be there. I mean, Gabby, you're invited, but I'm going to be the ones hosting that. It's about how to land a remote job in 2023. So scan this code, grab your phone. It's going to bring you to a landing page or website. You just need to register. It's for free, and you're going to save your spot. So I'm going to share in this secret room what I have tested and what worked for my clients to land remote jobs faster. So be my guest. If you're enjoying this content, if you're interested in improving your career, landing a remote job, this is the event you want to be. So just scan this QR code, fill out the form, and I will see you there next week. Okay, secret room waiting for you. I'm really excited about this event, preparing something that I have never shared before, but that's gonna be next week. So back with Gabby, I will share one more question and might be our last question. Our time is finishing. I will pick up one question here that I saw different people mention it, similar questions, so I'm just gonna pick up one that represent that. So for example, Rafaela mentioned, she has the same question, so more people mentioned that before. How can you make your resume stand out among probably hundreds of other resumes applying for a remote job, right? So
yeah,
good question.
Okay, yeah, and by the way, I see a lot of questions too in the comment section, especially about the referral program, that I would be happy to answer, so we can connect later. And We will have access to these comments, right?
Yes,
Later?
yes.
Okay,
Yes,
because then
if
I
you
can
go to
even
the
write.
event, yeah, if you go on the event, you can answer there, Gabby, because then everyone can see the
Oh,
reply. And yeah, the
awesome.
chat keeps going on the event. So I think it's a good place to reply because we can follow the track and we can see the replies.
Okay. Yeah, no. So I will go through all comments and answer all of you guys. But so just in general, I just wanna acknowledge here, like referral programs, I never seen people being hurt, like harmed in any way when referred, no matter by any which employee is referring. That doesn't matter. And I haven't seen companies canceling referral programs because of budget. I haven't seen these cases. So they ask about this. And also, if you are looking for remote work from other countries like Colombia, and a good way to start is going to platforms that are focused on remote jobs. The companies who post jobs in job boards focused on remote work are usually companies that are open to more locations. So job boards like We Work Remotely and remote.io or CO are two job boards that I personally trust and have openings with like more locations. Just to acknowledge two questions there. And just to say about how to stand out, honestly, my answer is going to always be the same. It's matching the requirements and making sure that you, yeah, and that you highlight the matching requirements well and clearly in your resume. So a simple resume, you don't have to repeat information, but just make sure that the valuable information is easy to see. What's valuable information? Location, job titles that you had in the past and that aligned with the job you are applying to, and experience that you have that aligns. And when I say experience, is verbs. So if the job is for a software engineer role and you are describing your experience with verbs like uh, let me think, like design is one. Try to explain your experience as an engineer with verbs that engineers use, like build, design, launch, ship, implement. You know, those things will match with the job description and make you stand out. If you are in New York City, like Rafaela, I know you were focused on remote work, but a good way could be if you're open to on-site. New York has a lot of on-site and even hybrid positions, and that could be a way if you really need a job right away, you know, and then take time to find your remote position because New York City is a great location to be. But anyways, that would be my. Sorry, it was a long answer, but I just want to acknowledge everyone that's been so like participative in the comment section.
People are amazing.
So I want to make sure I'm answering everyone.
Time is short. Yeah, we could stay another hour, but we're closing. We're going towards the end of the live. So, Gab, you can definitely check you and everyone who is watching, right? You can check the chat and see not only the questions but the answers. So let's keep checking it because there will be more valuable information there. And just as last opportunity for the ones who want to register to the event I'm organizing next week, I'm going to quickly share the QR code again. You can scan it, and then you can be my guest to this event I'm organizing next week, free, to help you to land a remote job in 2023. So if you want to open, let's see if the QR code is going to show. It might not show, but that's the goal. Let's see. Yeah, it's not showing. So, Gabby, while I try to put the QR code back on the screen, your final words so we can close the live. So, any final comment, any final tip for this amazing audience and so interactive that we have here today?
Yeah, no, it was my pleasure. It's been part of my work to share knowledge with job seekers, especially, but also other talent acquisition experts. So I'm always happy to help. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Follow me on LinkedIn. I have an Instagram account now too. And yeah, if I can help you in a more depth, feel free to contact me as well because I can surely do that to you as well. So thank you.
Okay, no, sorry. I removed you by mistake. I'm trying to bring you back. Wait.
Oh,
Oh,
oh, no
yes.
worries. I
Sorry.
don't know if they could hear the whole thing, but that's
They could,
fine.
yes. Sorry, I just clicked something wrong here. So, Gabi, thank you very much. That was super interesting, valuable. Recruitment can change a lot from the company size, from the position, right? So there's so much we could talk about it. I really appreciate your time. All night. It was a pleasure to have you here, and I might invite you again in the future for another live. So let's see. Let's see. Thank you.
For
Thank you very
sure.
much.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
Yeah, take care. Thank you everyone for watching. If you're watching the recording, thank you also for watching. And I'll see you next week for another live with another recruiter covering more aspects of recruitment for remote jobs. Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Ciao.